Okay, hello everyone. I feel like the people, quite a lot of people have already joined. We're still waiting for a few more attendees, but I think we can be starting. Hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining us tonight at our webinar, Crisis as a Catalyst for Insurance Digitalization. So what prompted us to host this webinar? The current situation is, of course, impacting all of us on many levels. And as there's a lot of uncertainty ahead of us, I strongly believe that every crisis brings a lot of opportunities. Those of you who speak Cantonese or Mandarin, in fact, know that the word crisis consists of two characters. The first one means danger, and the second, a chance or an opportunity. So in this webinar, we will have a look at the rapidly changing market situation that has become a new normal. We will also look at the accelerated customer habits that we believe will have an impact on the insurance industry, as well as we will go through several big areas of growth that we believe are emerging right now during these challenging times. And then we will have a Q&A session in the end. I'm very happy to have with me a few fellow speakers. The first one is Lukas Urech. He's my colleague from Zuhlke, Switzerland. He's the Director for Business Development and an insurance industry expert. Lukas, can you please say hello and a few words to our attendees?
Thank you, Polina. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm looking forward to this webinar. As Polina mentioned, I'm responsible for Zuhlke European insurance market with a main focus on Switzerland. During this webinar, I will bring some examples how the European insurance market is handling the actual COVID-19 situation and how they are preparing for the new normal.
Thank you, Lukas. Looking forward. The second speaker is Jacob Sacuto, and those of you who are in Hong Kong might know him very well from the FinTech Association of Hong Kong, where he is a co-chair of the InsurTech committee, as well as he is a founder of several companies in the sector. Jacob, can you please say hello?
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here with you all, and looking forward to this discussion as well.
Great. Great. So as the webinar will go on, I really want everyone to be a part of the discussion. So please post your questions in the Q&A. Start sharing your thoughts in the chat. We will make sure to answer all of your questions in the end of the webinar. And now I actually would like to ask you one. Can we have our poll? Yeah, so the question is, what do you believe will be one biggest change for the insurance in the post-COVID-19 world? If you only need to choose one answer, what would that be? We will look at the answers shortly. And right now, I would like to set up quickly what is happening right now in the market and why we think the digitalization will be playing a key part in the further development of the insurance industry. So obviously, COVID-19 has become a huge disruption to us all. To the extent that this joke has emerged, and I think it is very funny because it's so very true. The new normal market is now shaping, and if digitalization was just one of the points on the agenda for the insurers, now it has become an imperative, and the urgency has also increased. For example, the digital insurers suggest that companies need to accelerate their digital plans by 2 years just to stay in place. And why we think that such a fundamental impact is taking place? Well, simply put, because everyone around the world is being affected in every area of our lives. And what is most interesting for this particular situation is that even your most traditional users are also forced to switch online. So for example, in China, the share of consumers over the age of 45 using e-commerce increased by 27% just in 1 month. So as we go further, we transfer more and more of our daily activities online, and we really often we really don't have any choice. So as we will be going back to normal or new normal, these customer behavior and habits that we're adopting online will start impacting our offline expectations as well. We will continue to expect faster, more efficient, more personalized, truly customer-centric communication and services from the organizations. So this is one big reason why digitalization is important more than ever, as it will give your company an opportunity to be to continue to serve your customers in the best way possible. The second reason is, as the challenging economic situation is right now being formed, the organizations will be looking at decreasing their costs. And as Henry Kissinger once said, the historic challenge for leaders is to manage the crisis while building the future. So it is very important that your cost efficiency measures do not stifle the innovation, as customer-centric innovative solutions will be the key driver of your long-term cost efficiency and your operations. So these are the two main reasons why we think digitalization is being hugely accelerated, and this is what we in Zuhlke Group are very passionate about. For more than 50 years, we are working with our customers together to empower their ideas and to find the ways together to make their operations faster, more efficient, to increase their revenues, to find the new streams of revenue and make them future ready. So this is why today we wanted to share a more structured outlook at the changing market and what are the possible opportunities right now. So I think this is a good time to look at our polling results. Can we see the answers of our audience? Okay, so there's definitely several opinions. And we see that the leader is the need for the new insurance product offerings, which is very interesting. And I think all of the speakers here agree with that. We, in fact, will have a section dedicated to that. Other answers are accelerated importance of value-added services and increased customer demand. Thank you very much for the audience that answered this question. Now I actually would like to ask our speakers, what do they think? Can we start with you, Jacob? If you need to pick only one answer, what would that be?
Well, I would choose the increased demand. I have seen and talked to a lot of people, and demand is through the roof. Now, it may not be the demand for the existing products, but demand of service or answering questions, and everyone is obviously concerned. Therefore, demand in general has gone through the roof in so many ways. People want to check, are they covered for it? How does it work? Is there another cover they could get? And so demand has been very high.
Yeah, thank you. Lukas, and what do you think?
Yes, I absolutely agree. Demand will be larger, but I think what we also see is, because we're going through a tough time economical-wise, you will see companies shutting down their doors, going bankruptcy. So economy-wise, I guess there will be a decrease, at least, of the revenue insurance can make with their customers because they lose some. But in the midterm, I think new way of services is definitely increasing because the new normal will be much more in the digital way, and that also needs new services in place.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your answer. And I think that, I think that it's true that in the short term, there will be quite a few challenges, but overall we see a lot of interesting developments. So now, what we believe will be the customer habits, the new or accelerated, that will have a major impact on the insurance industry. So every crisis boosts certain behaviors. So for example, SARS is often credited with the accelerated adoption of e-commerce in China. So 2003, this is when Taobao has launched. And we know how quickly this segment grew in China. So what we believe COVID-19 will bring us, first of all, doing things from home, work and beyond. So people are really getting creative in how they can get their things done online from their apartments. So the organizations need to get creative too. The second habit that stems from the first one is increased online purchasing and digital payments. We will have some relevant statistics to the insurance later on in this presentation, but I think this will be definitely a big trend. The third customer habit that I think will stick around is rising expectations on ease and simplicity of the interaction with the company. So especially now when most of our requests, as Jacob said, are done from the place of anxiety or fear or confusion, the call center won't just, it won't suffice anymore. The customers really need more ways how they can reach out to your organization. So focusing on the communications is a very important part, especially now. The fourth customer habit is a higher awareness of the expenses. Not so much a habit, but the customer behavior. So unfortunately, as many people around the world finding themselves in a challenging financial situation, they will be looking how they can decrease their expenses. And also what is important, they will be looking at what it is that I'm getting for my money, what is that value, and how I can increase the value for my investment, for the money that I'm paying. And the fifth habit that obviously was in the market before, but I think it will be hugely accelerated, is increased focus on our health, both physical and mental, and general well-being. So what does these accelerated customer behaviors mean for us in terms of the growing market needs and new opportunities? So one good news, after a global health pandemic, what will be on everyone's mind? Health insurance. So there's a lot of experts in the market that are predicting that the raise of the consciousness of the health risk will increase. So will be the boost for the demand for the medical insurance coverage. This specific quote is from Rick Wang, who's the insurance leader at EY in Hong Kong. And just before I'm going forward with all the opportunities, I just wanted to give you an outlook that there are 5 emerging opportunities that we want to highlight today, and we map them against the sort of traditional consumer life cycle journey. So starting from the pre-purchase, when the customer is becoming more aware of their need and of your organization, going through purchase and experience as a customer, retention and loyalty, and the expansion of this account. So let me go forward to the first opportunity, which is increased pool demand for the insurance. The statistics show us that, for example, during SARS, in the first 6 months, the total health insurance premiums more than doubled. The same trend is being observed now. The Swiss Re has just published a very interesting consumer survey in April for APAC region, and it shows that 22% people in Hong Kong already bought a new policy, while 41% searched for some new coverages, and these numbers are even higher across the region. So these stats were specifically on the health and life, but we believe that the same trend will be in other sectors as well, SME insurance, unemployment, and as Lukas said before, maybe not like right now for these other sectors, but definitely in the mid-term and long-term, and that's why it's important to have this forward-looking mindset and a growth focus adopted. Because essentially COVID-19 has become a huge wake-up call for all of us as individuals, as employees, as business owners, that we are hugely underprotected. So if we're going to the second opportunity that is very sort of interrelated with that, is the increase in the online sales. If we are talking about the online health insurance, for example, these are the stats from the Policy Bazaar in India. They've seen that in less than a month, they witnessed more than 20% growth in the online sales of health insurance. I think this trend will definitely not go away as it was before COVID-19. And when we're talking about the digitalization focus areas, what you need to focus on to seize these opportunities? Well, digitalization of sales. And here, when we're talking about it, it's really important to distinguish 2 parts. One is direct to consumer, so your online sales channels and we see adoption of such journeys among many product categories. And the second one is digital enablement of your entire distribution channel. So your agents, your brokers, and this is very important not to forget about that, and not just give an iPad to your agent that will show the same papers, but really have a digital advisory suite and ensure how your partners are involved in this process. And we strongly believe that those insurers that can successfully transform their distribution network will see higher efficiency and definitely will unlock some more potential for growth. And the second part of the digital capabilities is digital onboarding. So this is where your eKYC and digital signature capabilities coming in. And this part is of course very related to the legislations in the specific market. So for this, I would like to invite Jacob, who will share the latest updates from the Insurance Authority. And I also know that you have an interesting opinion about this digital enablement of distribution. Jacob?
Yeah, so digitalization, just a brief overview for the ones who may not be so familiar with Hong Kong market. The Hong Kong market is extremely competitive, and regulation in high demand has led to a huge number of players that led itself to a huge number of products poured into the market. And intermediaries are an integral part of the local industry. So just a few stats so you get an idea of this. So Hong Kong has a little over 7 million inhabitants, but it counts 120,000 licensed people to advise on insurance, so agents and brokers. So it's a pretty big number. And so this model has been absorbed by every aspect of the industry. So all the products are designed to be sold and serviced by intermediaries, and they're priced accordingly as well. They all have that distribution margin included in them, or the commissions specifically. So the intermediaries are involved in the large majority of the transactions in Hong Kong. So they are significantly important. And I believe the shift towards digitalization should simply be put in two phases, and they're not necessarily one after another, but they can go along together, where digitalization of the current intermediary force, the ones who have experience and reach and expertise to sell the existing set of products that are in the market. And that digitalization goes around, as you mentioned, Polina, so more like sales tools, e-applications, servicing portals, analytics, those kind of things. And the second part is of digitalization is basically creating new products that do not rely on the existing intermediary force, at least not in the same way, not to sell. And so the sales digitalization overall can only be complete, in my perspective, if once the insurance products are redesigned to either exclude intermediaries or involve them differently. You can think of it as the evolution for intermediaries. From my point of view, and the reason why I'm talking a lot about this is I see that intermediaries are not usually included in these conversations, both with the regulator and with the carriers themselves. They're left out, and that void in communication can be threatening, especially for an industry that is in Hong Kong so heavily relying on those intermediaries today. So yes, as you were saying, Polina, I believe that including the brokers in the plan for digitalization is very important to equip them with the right tools and help them evolve and use them where they shine in the future. I think this is really, really important. Back to your point about regulation in Hong Kong. So the industry being so heavily reliant today on the existing intermediary force, the current situation with COVID basically rendered face-to-face meetings impossible, and therefore what the regulator has implemented were simple measures to allow certain range or categories of products that normally would require face-to-face to not require face-to-face anymore, at least temporarily. We're all hoping this lasts, but as in not temporary, not about COVID specifically, just to be clear. And so we'll see how this goes. But what we've seen is it seemed like a very, very fast adaptation of the the technology and the digitalization in this field. And what seemed to be a very quick execution is actually a result of a long, hard work behind the scenes that was triggered pre-COVID during the COVID period in Hong Kong. But literally, as soon as these regulations were temporarily implemented, these opportunities were seized. And a lot of new services and fast things have been brought to market. And I know that a lot of insurers in the market are working overtime to bring these things to reality in order to continue serving their customers and continue selling. So it's been very interesting to watch.
The last part is very important. So we've seen that the insurance authority has allowed temporary facilitative measures to sell VHIS and some other products completely online. And then we've seen Prudential and several other companies launching it almost right away. So it's not like they just pulled off a magical 2-week sprint to put the technologies in place. No, they have been building up to that. And this is exactly what this forward-looking mindset comes in play, because they really have managed to make an impact and differentiate themselves in the market, those few companies that have launched really quick. Yeah, thank you very much for such an update. And as we will be going forward, I would like to actually ask Lukas what is happening in the European market in that area specifically. I know that it's a very interesting example.
Yes, thank you, Polina and Jacob. This is an example which was announced in the newspaper actually 2 weeks ago, what Zurich Life Insurance does. So until now, it was considered to be impossible to sell life insurances online without having an agent or a face-to-face meeting with the client because of different reasons, very complex financial situations of families, because it's a very long-term contract you enter with your insurance company, and that needs a lot of trust, and trust is built in a face-to-face meeting, right? So, but what you see when COVID came and the shutdown, also here in Switzerland, Zurich didn't have in the first week a solution to sell the life insurances completely online. That means you have to check your identity by a identity card or by a passport, and you have to have a valid signature, a digital signature in place. So luckily, Zurich had those technologies already for their other products, not for the life insurances, but then they just could switch on this technology to the life insurance product as well. And what they saw in the last week, that they had a big increase in selling their life insurances really online during this COVID-19 time. So the considered impossibility to sell those products in a digital way was now, or is now today, in a complete different angle, or seen in a different angle.
Yeah.
Of course, the legislation here in Switzerland allows this digital signature, and that is a major. This is an important condition to allow that.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very interesting example because it really shows that the customers are ready for some new behaviors, and that the companies also have those capabilities. Like, for example, I've read that a lot of US insurers are now considering to also use alternative data sources instead of just traditional medical checkups for the life insurance policies.
Yeah.
So I think this segment will also be seeing a lot of change. And it's just a great example how the COVID-19 is changing something that is considered so traditional.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lukas. Now we're going forward to the opportunity number 3, which is increasing customer loyalty through an outstanding customer experience. So particularly in times of crisis, any interaction with your customer has an exponential and long-lasting potential effect on their sense of trust and loyalty to your company. Because people are scared and they're lost. And why do we buy insurance? To feel protected. And if you manage to deliver that that care and that sense, it can have absolutely amazing effect on their advocacy and on their satisfaction with the company, and vice versa. If you didn't manage to reach out to your customers, then there's a big opportunity missed. So now more than ever, a customer experience is a mission number one. And we know that a lot of companies have done amazing things in this field now with the COVID-19, launching free coverages or COVID-19 additional coverages. And I really want to thank everyone because who was participating in these new offerings, because it really does make a difference. Or for example, AIA, they have launched the first for Hong Kong market tool to track the COVID-19 cases. And this tool was, as far as I know, available both to AIA customers and not AIA customers, which I think also really makes a difference in how the people perceive the brand. These were just a few examples. And Jacob, I know that you're part of many conversations in the market. Can you just share us what do you observe as the sort of main trends in that customer communication area?
A lot of things, Polina. Try to keep it concise.
Yes.
So, as I said earlier, everything has been accelerating now. So a lot of the plans that carriers may have had about bringing in new products or new services or new value add or new digital aspects to their business has just been accelerated. And actually, they've been accelerated twice with the previous pre-COVID situation in Hong Kong that was more of a government protest, and now the COVID, it's really been like a double step on the gas pedal. So yeah, there's been all kinds of things, but what is interesting is that everywhere and everyone I'm talking to, everyone is more than super busy. Unfortunately, business is not where they'd like it to be, but in terms of being busy and rolling out new things, people are just nonstop. And so it's interesting to see the feeling I got of talking to some of these teams within big insurers is it feels like startups. Yeah. And they're working a lot, they're working hard, they're trying new things all the time. And it's a quick go-to-market and a quick shifting or pivoting or shutting down or switching, and felt very startup-y from a lot of the conversations I had. So as a overall looking at it, I was impressed. I was really impressed. Generally speaking, where these players not so long ago, conversations with them did not feel startup-y. Now everything is about going fast, going quick, and learning from feedback loops and moving forward. So I think it's really good to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I hear all of these terms that really show the business agility. And I think this is exactly the time for everyone, and for insurance specifically, to step up and be bold in innovations, bold in what do you offer to the market. And for a long time, you might play around with a POC and then estimate what is the business case. And now it is a time to really go out there and try things. And it's really great to hear that people are ready. People are shifting their behavior so quickly, because it is absolutely important for digital innovations. That's how we also approached in Zuhlke, to do it at scale and at pace. This is very challenging, and it's really great to see this shifted vibe in the industry. Lukas, do you see the similar sentiment in the European market about how companies are showing their their dedication to the customers?
Yeah, I have 3 examples. If you can go to the next slide. I think it's very important that this time, as you said in the beginning, Polina, these also have chances to increase your reputation. And that is something which we see here in Europe, what they did. So first, the customers, they are scared, they are facing troubling times, and now they need their insurances. But it's also a matter of fact that pandemic events cannot be insured. That is obvious, that everyone knows. But still, people are struggling. So what we see, for example, that's the first example, Admiral, a UK insurance company, Hook, a German car insurance company, or Allianz, they all announced in the public press that they will show goodwill, for example. And during the shutdown of these 2 months, roughly, where people were not using their cars as often as they would do in normal times, they will reduce the premiums, for example. Mm-hmm. That, of course, is a very good reputation and strengthens the trust in their customers. Another example is on the right-hand side, Urech. Urech is a legal insurance company. And you can imagine 1 month ago, there were a lot of uncertainty regarding the law, what is covered by a COVID-19 pandemic event. And they had a lot of calls. And what they offered and announced in the public press is that they give free legal advices. Also something which they showed a lot of goodwill and strengthened their reputation in the public.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's really great to see how insurance and reinsurers are really helping the world and the society to deal with the impact of the pandemic. And I think this is an amazing opportunity to, first of all, really serve the society, and second of all, as Lukas, as you've said, to increase the reputation and boost that sense of loyalty with your customers. And when we're looking at how digitalization can empower you in this area, is first of all omnichannel customer support. So we've mentioned before at the sort of accelerated customer habits that people will be looking to reach their companies and their insurers much more easy than right now. And there's now a lot of great tools that are available that will allow you to be where your customer is, whether it is a chatbot or it's just being present in the messengers, but also as well as with sales. It is important to, of course, you can have some automated channels like chatbot, but also make sure that it is a truly omni-channel customer support, so that there's a seamless customer journey between automated and a human conversation. So that is one area. And second is digitalizing claims management. Obviously, if we're looking at this area specifically from customer perspective, what is the one most emotional experience in your insurance journey is claims. So this is absolutely critical moment of truth. And we've seen a lot of development in this area before, but this will definitely be much more accelerated by COVID-19. And here, once again, of course, there are already journeys online, a full complete journeys for some simpler claims. So this is great. Everything that you can automate, do that. But there are definitely some more complicated claims that cannot be done fully online. So as in case with the sales, it is very important to have this augmented claims journey where your digital capabilities help your customer and help your employees to handle this journey in a much more efficient way. And here I know that Lukas has a very interesting example and experience in that, how an example from the European market on the claims management. Lukas, can you share with us?
Switch to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. Yes, this is another example I would like to show and stay a little bit longer on this solution here, what we did in the digital claims management. So to just start, all insurance company, they know they have the sales and the onboarding, they have to go into a digital way, as we saw before. Digitalization of the claims process is much more demanding because the claims is not a standard, it's not always the same, right? So if you have a small bump on your car, that's not emotional. That's easy to take a picture, put it online on your app and raise the claim of your insurance. But as soon as there are emotions involved, like people are injured or even die, you won't use your mobile phone to raise that claim, right? So you have to really deep dive in your processes and go through each use case, and then you find a good solution. Another important point here is you have always to focus on the customer experience. Your customer won't use it if you only think about how can I optimize my internal processes. That's not going to work. People then, or your clients, then they will use just the traditional way in raising claims by calling you, filling out paper forms and so on. But that's not what you want to see. So what we did in this example, this is a Swiss property insurance company, and they said, okay, we want to have a very customer-oriented claims process, digital claims process. So what they insure normally is damages from storms, fire, hailing, or vandalism. And in the beginning, we chose the very simple process with just few emotional depths. So vandalism, and in this case, having a graffiti on your house wall, which have to be removed from an expert. That was the first case we was focusing on, and we built up this solution. It was clear that we need to have a mobile solution because a mobile app everyone has in his pocket. But as the nature of a property insurance, so a property event is here in Europe a once in a lifetime event, right? So it's not very often you have a claim on your house because of hail or storm. So you will never download an app for raising a claim. That was for sure. So we know that if your client has a problem, he will always call first the insurance company. What then the insurance company does, he is sending to the client an SMS with a link to, with an encrypted link actually, to a mobile web page. That's what you can see on the right-hand side. So that's the client device. And he now is able to log in to that specific claims portal just for him without a username and password, because he is the only one who knows that link he got by text messages from you. And as soon as he is entering this mobile platform, he can do everything there. He can update the claim with needed details, information, or photos for documentation. Further on, and after that is done, you can see the back office claims workbench in the middle of the slide here. They will organize the scheduling for repairing the damage, and everything is communicated through this mobile solution. So in this, once you have that, you are really staying relevant for your customer. Your customer loves this easy way to raise a claim, and your efficiency in handling the claims is dramatically increasing. And as I said before, an important step was to involve the real customers right from the beginning on. They have to feel how it works with this mobile solution, how to enter messages and new data. You have to really focus on an easy way when you want your client raising claims on the digital way. So this is every time the customer is asked to rate the solution, and it is always a 4 or 5 star rating which they get. And what they are doing now, of course, they enlarge this solution to new claims like storms or flood and so on. And this is the third point on the left-hand side. Once you have this client on the digital channel, now this brings you new opportunities. You increase the touch point, what insurance normally try to find. How can I increase touch point on the digital way to their customers? You have to stay relevant for your customers with relevant information, and you can change, if you do it smart, you can change becoming, instead of just an property insurance, you can change to an essential partner for your clients.
Yes, thank you so much, Lukas. This is really interesting use case, and it's very interesting to see how the claims journey was really thought through from the perspective of a customer. And it's also particularly curious for me that you have ended your part on the increasing touch points, because this is in fact the next big point of growth that we believe will be emerging in the market, which is increasing customer touch points. So we've just been talking about trust and loyalty, but it only can be built in the relationship, in the ongoing active relationship. And as we know, insurance is traditionally considered to be a very low touch point sector. For example, this survey from a couple of years ago shows that in developed markets, 50% of the customers did not have any contact with their insurers in the past year. I mean, it's good on one hand that probably they didn't claim anything, yet, as Lukas just said, being a partner for your customer and being present in their life regularly is very important, because what we also see, according to the same research, 59%. This is the difference in the net promoter score that was given by a customer who had at least one interaction with their insurer in the past year, and between those who did not. This is for the P&C insurance, and for the life insurance, this number was at 57. So really, every touch point can generate valuable, tangible increase in the loyalty and in the satisfaction rate. So if we are going forward and looking at what it is in the digital capabilities that you can do, is providing value-added services, and specifically focused on health and wellness, as it will be a very important sort of aspect of our life that we'll be focusing on. And these value-added services can be provided either directly through the company owned by the brand, or you can become or build your own ecosystem, which is entire, very interesting, very challenging topic, but I think very potential. And here I would like you to give a couple of examples, and I will start with the one that is not from the insurance industry, but it has really impressed me. So Nike in Greater China, Nike, they were forced to shut down more than 75% of their stores in mainland China during the COVID-19 outbreak. But what did they do? They have refocused and continued to be in touch with their potential target audience through their apps, specifically Nike Training Lab. And they have given their workouts in this app for free. And they have seen, let me be correct, they have seen weekly active users jumping by 80% compared to the start of the quarter. And moreover, they have also seen more than 30% increase in the sales through digital channels in the Greater China. So they have found meaningful, valuable way to stay close with their customers, and then also make sure that they're not forgetting about the brand and keep on buying. And now that the business are coming back, the trend is not being reversed, and Nike still sees a very positive growth in their sales. So that is one example. For example, just yesterday in Hong Kong, I've seen that Bupa has launched a Bupa Health Fest. So that will be a month of free masterclasses and free exercises, free sessions. And I think this is a very nice way to stay in touch with your customers and be around them even now. And also why it is important for Asia specifically is because research by Swiss Re in 2018 shows that 83% of the respondents are willing to share their data generated from wearables and fitness apps with insurers. And this is quite a different situation to the European market, for example, where people are much more sort of protective about their data. So I think this sector, we already see a few very good offers in Hong Kong. It is AIA and Manulife specifically, but there's much more potential to find your own specific unique offering. And there are several existing health-focused ecosystems already. And for example, Ping An Good Doctor. This is another really outstanding case, I think. They have launched a free consultation for COVID-19 over their platform, Good Doctor. They have seen 900% increase in the new users registration and in daily consultation. 900% because of that service addition. And of course, as COVID-19 will be sort of going away, hopefully soon, maybe these high numbers won't stay at the same level, but still they have just managed to accumulate a very big increase in their users database. And these are the people who have already installed their app and started using it, which is very often a major hurdle. So I think this is an amazing way how you can provide really meaningful communication and value-added service to your customer while still standing out and being a true market leader and raising your reputation and communications with your relationship with your customers. So, and this is specifically for health and life probably, but even in the P&C, there's also a lot of opportunities that are possible to seize. By the way, Ping An also have some really interesting cases in the motor insurance, but that's a topic for another webinar. So if we're going forward, the fifth opportunity that we believe will be important in the market is the product innovation. So as we've mentioned, people will be first of all more aware of the need to be insured, and secondly, they will be also more aware of what that is I'm buying for my money. And here it is really important, of course, to look at the AI-enabled risk assessment and underwriting, making this process smarter in your company. But specifically, we would like to focus on the introduction of the new product categories, and in particular, one that we believe will be seeing a lot of uptake worldwide, that's already happening, and in Asia, which is cyber insurance. So there are some very interesting numbers. For example, 70% of enterprises in APAC lack a solid understanding in cyber posture. At the same time, 70% of internet users in Asia have not received any education in cybersecurity. And now with COVID-19, that everyone is working from home, this risk is really increasing. And if Alliance in January have published this information, that it has for the first time emerged as a leading risk for businesses, and it was in January. Only a few months later, this will be probably much higher in their, by much bigger margin on top of their list. So I also would like to invite Lukas here again to share his experience, because we know that in the USA and in Europe, the adoption of cybersecurity is much higher. And Lukas, we are slightly overrunning, and there's a couple of questions that we would like to answer. So yeah, I will go to your slide, and if you can share with us about your experience.
Okay, thank you, Polina. I'll try to make it short here, that we have enough time for answer your questions. So I think an interesting case, what we could realize for an insurance company here in Europe is this cyber insurance prevention service. So first of all, experts, they expect that cyber insurances will become more important than fire insurances in regard of losses for your clients, but also for collecting premiums for the insurance companies. And especially the small and medium businesses, they are very aware of that fact that, that there is a big risk in insolvency if they getting hacked, or if they have a damage because of a hacking attack on their business. So, but cyber insurance is very difficult for underwriting. So how can you prove what is really the damage, or how can you prove that it was really a damage of a hacker, or was it just something else? That needs a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, which normally the small and medium businesses, they do not have. And as well as in the insurance companies, you not have a lot of experts with that knowledge. So that specific insurance company, they came to us and said, look, the best way is not only insuring my clients with a certain amount of damage, let's say for $1 million US, but much better would be if we could, or if our clients could invest in prevention. So we started a cooperation here. The insurance company, they just have the risk policy, and we started the prevention services. And the prevention service, which they could buy as an add-on to the risk policy, each client or each SME of them can buy that service now online. What they get is they get a prevention program on their infrastructure, IT infrastructure, as well as software. So what we do is a vulnerability scan and give advice where security holes are. And the second part, probably much more important, is the weakest part in every organization. That's the employee who is acting the wrong way. If he is getting a spam mail, or if he is leading to a hacking web page, whatever, that he gives away his username and passwords easily. So what we have here, if we developed an app called Secured, and with that app, the employees, they have weekly challenges they can go through. So it's like a gamification, and they are trained in these challenges to the threats which could appear in their daily life working digital. And they have then afterwards more knowledge and are more sensitive in terms of the threat from the internet. That's what we did. And I think that is another good example how insurance company can become or can move from just an insurance company to a service provider for the clients.
Thank you very much, Lukas. It is a very interesting example, and I really like this sort of prevention and education on the cybersecurity. I think this is very important, especially in the light of some numbers that we've just seen. And in fact, I see that the question that we had was exactly on that part, on the cybersecurity. Like interesting example can be to quote in the space of cybersecurity, and yeah, the question was how probable we see that happening, and I think we've just answered that question. We believe that definitely will be something that will be seeing a big growth. And at this, we went through all of the major areas that we wanted to share with you. You can see them now mapped against this customer journey. We hope that it provided you some food for thought, and we have inspired you for further bold innovations that will bring change to the society and to your organizations, and will allow you to emerge out of this crisis stronger than before. Right now, we will be ready to accept the questions from the audience. I think that the one we had was already answered. Maybe there are specific questions on more technological part of it. So which technologies can be, should be the number one that we're adopting. And here, maybe I wanted to, while we're waiting for some additional questions from our audience, here I would like to ask Jacob and Lukas. So for example, Lukas, I remember we talked about AI and about how many potential areas it can be applied in the insurance. So specifically in the underwriting, do you see a lot of AI and data analytics being already implemented right now? I don't know, Lukas, if you can answer first, for example.
There is a lot of small steps, I would say, in using AI technology in the underwriting. Some of these steps are already productive, the low-hanging fruits we could see in the last 3 years, which is possible, but there are a lot of ideas and pilots and tests. Some are getting successful and others fail and need more investigation, actually. The biggest problem is actually normally the amount of data in a good quality that an AI project or is successful.
Yeah, that is very true. Having data available and also having the data being clean and sort of to use it, it's very important. Jacob, do you have any thoughts? What is the sort of AI will bring into the area, or maybe some other technology that you find more attractive?
I think most of the technologies are all equally attractive to our industry who dearly needs them. No, I think AI is an interesting one. I think it's like many things we're talking about right now are specifically about how the current situation of pandemic is potentially accelerating this trend towards digitalization. I think it's for AI definitely going to help to put forward projects, but as we all know, AI is not something that's going to roll out in users' hands very quickly because of all the time it needs to be validated as working the way it should. But it's definitely pushing people to work with all technologies, AI included, to bring them forward as fast as possible. I don't think we'll be seeing that so quickly in the hands of users, but it's definitely being used and being implemented.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said before, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that are going on, and maybe it needs to be tested more and make sure it works smoothly. But definitely, there's a lot of interesting conversations, and I really hope that this situation will bring these conversations from the theoretical realm to more practical. I think that it is about time for us to wrap up. To all the participants, we will distribute the recording of the webinar as well. And at this point, I'd like to thank the speakers very much for such an interesting discussion. Wait, actually, maybe there is some. Okay, there is some more some more questions. Not goodbye yet. The question is: are we seeing an increase in insurance companies using any channel to bring new offerings to customers' awareness? So I believe that the question is more about like how insurance companies are communicating their new offerings and solutions. I know what we see. It's what I personally see. There's a lot of course, social media activity and just more. Just as we've said, customers are also might be more open for the sort of communication with the insurers. I'm not the most active sort of insured customer, but I started to open the emails from my insurer and seeing what's happening. So I think that it is very important to not just sort of stick to your website and publish some updates there, but really make sure it is aware. And as I've mentioned, that increasing the touch points, so making sure that you just didn't launch something and it's quietly existing, but it is out there and it creates a meaningful marketing communication or an additional touch point. I also think that's very about this omni-channel customer support. So for example, emails from my insurer, I don't open them. And by now they should have seen the stats that the emails are not being opened, and maybe try to find a new way how to reach me out. So this is one way how insurers can look at their marketing communications and also make them smarter with data analytics and gathering the data.
If I can just add for that question. So the question is, are insurers using more digital channels, any digital channels, to bring awareness to their new offerings? So I think this is, as many things, I think this is a trend that we've been seeing for a long time. And today, with the current situation, insurers are definitely making use of those new channels to try new things along the way. So making themselves aware, definitely, and being more present and using any channel. But it's also tricky, I think, as insurers have not been the most forward going with those kind of touching base with their customers. And so they also want to, and I've seen a lot of insurers do it and do it actually very well, which was surprising and good, not just taking advantage of the opportunity to say, all right, now's the time to reach out and let's blast all of our customers by email and where it's going. So and again, I think what we're seeing today is a lot of hard work and hard thinking that's been done in the background. And it's just now it's taking all these things they have been working on. Either they were just working on them or they were working on them and they kind of shelved them or put them to wait. And now it's just like, let's take everything out. Let's put it to the market. Let's list them out. This one goes, this one doesn't go. We test, we see. So to answer the question, yes, definitely. A lot more use of any kind of channel to go. And I think they've been, in my market in Hong Kong, so far doing a fairly good job of touching base and making themselves aware of their offerings to the market without seeming like they're only taking advantage of the crisis to do so. And I think, again, it's been hard work behind the scenes, not just thought up now.
Yeah, I agree. It is, yeah, I agree. It's very true. And it's good to see that insurers are truly sort of serving their customers and experimenting more. And also with the more only online insurers emerging in Hong Kong, I think the market for this communication also will be more interesting to see who will be more creative in their campaigns and how they're reaching out to people. I'm just waiting a few more seconds if any other questions popping up, but in any case, I think that we have sort of exhausted our time, and it's evening time now in Hong Kong, so I think a lot of people are ready to go for their dinner and back to their families. I want to thank Lukas and Jacob for being tonight with me and participating in this discussion. I would like to thank everyone who was part of the audience. I really hope that we generated some new thoughts and inspirations, and we're very excited to see further innovations in the insurance market. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.